All right, guys, welcome to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie McGrath, joined by the Eric of the lovely family from his undisclosed location high in the Rocky Mountain West. It is, again, the 30th day of April, the last day of the month. Great program lineup. I know exactly what that was. Eric Lovely in the background trying to egg me on. Tonight's program is going to be a good one. If you want to join the folks in chat, wideawakenews.com. Click on the radio microphone. That'll take you right into the chat room as I do that right now. If you want to watch us do this live on Justin TV, well, you're only going to look at me because Eric is not sending video tonight, but you can watch me do this live. There's a link in the chat room to do that. If you're not signed up for our newsletter, please do so. The banner's at the front of wideawakenews.com. Click on that, and you will be signed up for a free newsletter that we send out every single day. Top headlines and commentary videos that we feel are important, we send out to you. All right, Eric Lovely, welcome to the program. Nice to talk to you again. Neither one of us were here last Thursday because of my impaled condition. Is that right? Impaled? Wasn't actually stabbed. But I'm glad to talk to you again. How are you this evening? Oh, let me announce. Wait a minute. Let me announce the second hour too, because first of all, we were supposed to have Chris from Seeds Now on with me and Eric. I wanted to. Because Eric does a lot of the growing of his own food, and I think you've used some of his product, if I'm not mistaken. And I wanted to just get a nice little roundtable going here because it is almost time to kick off May, certainly time to be planting. And Chris, if you're listening, and for some reason we weren't able to reach you, you can call in at 877. Wait a minute. Yeah, call in at 877-342-6673. Brett, don't send me a message. You can give him the right phone number when he calls in, and we'll get you on the air. For some reason, the number we have isn't working, and I might try to send you a message during the first break as well. Eric, what's on your mind tonight? I got some things lined up here, but I want to know what's on your mind.
Well, I want to talk about, everybody's examining the market. One of the big things I talked a little bit about this on my, I did a 2-hour spot Sunday.
Whoa, wait a minute.
What's that? It was for Straightway Ministries and whatnot, and their whole entire nationwide tune in they do. So I was on there for a couple hours and I talked a little bit about this information and
I didn't know you're cheating on Wide Awake News Radio like that. But, that's
well, I'm still waiting for RT or someone to call and whatnot, but I'm too radical for those guys.
Wait, you just glance over it. Is there a place where people can go listen to this link? People like, I don't know, your friend Charlie McGrath?
I don't know. Well, I mean, you would have to get in touch with Pasha Dow, but they do it on Blog Talk Radio. Like we originally started out, I don't know, 4 years ago. So they're kind of in there. They have a rather large audience and whatnot. Everybody from the ministries from all the different states and all the different countries. I was talking to there was ladies from Hawaii and California and Texas and other places. But the biggest thing is that one of the things that is really disturbing me, because some people are talking about it, but not everyone is talking about the everybody's talking about the financial system and gold and all of these things. But I want to hone in on gold and silver from a much different perspective at this time, because everybody's talking about who's flooding the market with paper, who's doing this, who's doing that. Let's look at what's under the surface. I want to start with Kennecott. Now, are you familiar with Kennecott?
Nope.
That's the largest copper production mine in the world. Produces 16% of the world's silver and 16% of the world's gold.
How did you say the name? I thought it was Endicott.
Kennecott. It starts with is how it actually was pronounced to me. They start with a K. But when you look at this particular mine, you do know that it collapsed, correct? And that the Environmental Protection Agency and so forth have gone in. They're not sure how many years it's going to be or whatnot until the mine is up and producing again. So that's not an implosion event or an elites. That's an event that just took place. Okay, it was a geo shift, or I'm not really sure exactly how they claimed that it took place, but you guys can look into that information. But what I'm really looking at is now I'm impacting. What I'm starting to look at is the supply of gold and silver. Okay, raw actual metal. Now, we know that an excess of 90% of the world's gold and silver comes from what continent? Africa. Okay? The five leading mines in Africa right now, as you look at the structure of gold and silver, these five leading mines, they produce 95% of the gold and silver out of the continent of Africa, or these five leading mining companies. Okay? Now, what is gold being traded at today? 1470, something of
Yeah.
that nature. Okay, well, for three out of these five companies to get the gold out of the ground and to slap a gold 1 ounce bar on your table for you, it costs them an average of $1,555. Now, the gold is selling for around 1470. That means they're losing almost $100, these mining companies, on every single exchange. Someone is losing this money. Now, these are the three of the world's largest producers of precious metals. What happens if they bankrupt these companies? What happens if they can seize and consolidate and take control of the actual precious metal production? What is going to happen to the supply to you and me and everyone else? Where, how is this going to unfold with the warlords and everything that are now going on in Africa, with the hot wars that are now breaking out? I call them the really conscript wars between China and us. With these things, there are only two companies. One company, for the life of me, I don't even know how they're pulling the gold out and producing it, but they're producing an ounce of gold for $1,170. And the other lowest company is 1351.
See,
So,
that's crazy to me, Eric. And here's why. I grew up Kennecott. Now that by the way, I'm dropping a link into what you're talking about, that slide, the big landslide they had.
okay.
I dropped that into the chat. That's a crazy picture. Check that out. That open pit mine is massive too. But I grew up in a mining area, and one of the mines close to where I was living, they said it had a 10-year shelf life. This is when gold was $300 an ounce, and they were saying at that time it needed to be at three and a quarter, 350 in order to be profitable. So you're saying what you found is that and this was, granted, this was 15 years ago, maybe a little bit less than that. But so you're saying the average profitability level is they need to be in that $1,500 range to break even. Is that right?
Well, yeah, and in other words, the average every single ounce sold around the planet has the average end of the day sales price has to be $1,555 for the gold and minting process to break dead even. That means no profit, no expansion. That means they just keep the lights on. They got enough fuel to keep the equipment running, and they can pay their employees. That's it at 1555. So there's definitely a problem there, but there's much more of a drastic situation now. Okay, because really one of the big pins that are pinned to copper and pinned to these productions is, one, what's going to happen to the copper price now that that mine is down? And subsequently by the process of that, what's going to happen to the silver price, because silver is produced when you're producing copper. And people really should look into that to understand how it goes. But here's the really key note. Silver. To pull silver out and slap an ounce on the table right now on the desk is $37.82 an ounce. Okay? For the corporations, the actual mining companies, to produce the silver. So we continually talk about this disconnect between paper processes, paper gold, paper silver, and the actual hard commodities. I believe, Charlie, that this is actually taking place. That we are coming into the event now where, if you're looking at you have record spot prices, or record what they call, I call it a VIG, but they have to make a little bit of profit. But now you're looking at the markups at a record of $8.71 per ounce of silver now in some marketable places. So this is what you see is occurring.
All right. Well, hold on a sec. That was a quick segment. I want to hear where you're going with this. So stop right there, and we won't talk about it during the break. We'll wait till we come back. We'll be back with Eric Lovely and more Wide Awake News Radio in just a sec. Hang tight. All right, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. We were talking about the price of copper. It should spike. Eric's right. I was reading this article here. Kennecott is the second largest copper producer in the U.S., supplying about a quarter of the country's copper. So claims their website. All right, Eric, pick back up where you were going on. You're seeing a smash down on paper, but when the actual physical is going to become scarce, is where I think you were going.
Well, yeah, you actually see them going. You actually see them that what they call the great divergence and whatnot, where they separate from one another. You actually see that is happening as you see this mad crush, where they're attempting to crush the price of gold and silver, where they're accomplishing that. Okay, they're maintaining a low price of gold and silver. However, the premium you're paying per ounce is continuing to increase. Okay. Now, you won't pay a single dollar in real premium if you go and you buy all the paper all day long you want. However, the actual hard commodity itself, you're paying for the price they say it is, plus the profit or premium margin for them to make money and so on and so forth and be able to restock their vaults that you're buying it from for the actual precious metal. We are seeing that premium continue to increase week to week now, even if it's only a quarter. 50 cents. Well, what does that mean? That means the price of the actual metal itself is getting further and further away from the fictional price that they're producing on the screen, that they're producing on the stock market, however you look at it. So I would definitely tell people that the very real possibility for the event, whatever event it is to take place economically, is extremely close in hand. The way the value and the premiums, the premium, I mean, now I was talking premiums here in America. The premium in India, okay, for right now, for silver and gold, they are debating whether it's going to stop at 30 to 42% of what
Wow.
the daggone coin itself costs. So in other words, imagine let's just make it an easy number, $10. So in other words, it's like going to the store and you're going to pay, 15 about $14.50 for a $10 item. Okay,
That's yeah.
right off the bat. Imagine gold. Okay, if gold is trading at $1,500, well, that's 20. You're now talking $2,250 for 1 ounce of gold. So its real price is actually seen in the expanding premiums. So I mean, I just want people to be prepared. I want people to know whenever they go out to buy the silver, do not be confused by the price that is being fed to you on the screen by individuals because your premiums are going to be stiffer. You're going to pay, but in other words, you haven't lost any value. The crackdown and the crunch has only been, it's only affecting the paper market because with the premium, the prices of hard silver has held strong without a move at all.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and that's been, hold on a second. That's been the case for quite some time. I mean, we've seen, a crash or a slapdown of the paper value, and at the same time, central banks loading up on the same, at the same token, which would seem to be exactly the wrong move to make if if these institutions are concerned because the bubble is going to burst in precious metals. Why are they continuing to load the shelves?
Yeah, not just. I think there's another also. Think about in a nation like China. Okay, you showed the money, you introduced the man to the show. Well, they go and they buy silver. Well, because they can buy an entire train full or an entire boat full. They're paying $2 over spot,
Right.
and you're paying $8 and $9. I mean, and now with with our own copper mine, see, people don't understand when the copper mine went down. This is the silver production. This is what creates your American Silver Eagles. The things of this nature because it is American copper and American silver
Let's see how
because
hard it is.
it's
I
actually mandated for you to purchase from them first. So this is going to impact your the value of certain specific coins from certain specific regions. You're also going to be paying higher premiums to other countries as they import their coins to try and make up for the demand. But either way, demand is now increasing. It is continuing to increase. The premiums are continuing to increase, and you have a real world event that has sharply decreased supply. Okay, so I would tell people in the very near short term, the price is definitely has to increase. What's going to happen to these gold companies? I mean, I don't know. How long can you run in the red? I think it's the number two gold producer in the world right now is $1,742 per ounce to put a gold ounce brick on your table, trading at 1,400 and something. Okay, you're losing almost $200, $300 per ounce. How long can that company stay afloat? And who benefits when they crash? Who's going to pick them apart and buy them for pennies on a dollar and now claim all of that gold? You know, these are real world events that are taking place that I think really can set the stage for other events. You know, my big question to you is I mean, how long do you think that these companies can hang on like that?
I don't know. I mean, it depends if they're getting shoveled cash in one door. You know, if they have a big credit line, maybe they'll keep it going. For a few years. But it's certainly, if that truly is the cost to get this stuff out of the ground, who was the second largest? It was 17. That seems crazy because it hasn't been that number for quite some time. But
Yeah,
I do believe they're not, they're not. It's not like shooting fish in a barrel when it's at 14 or $1,500 an ounce. They probably are in that, I would believe, 1,000 to 1,300 range. More importantly, I think the question is what you already said: who benefits from keeping the price of it smashed down? Who benefits from this? It seems to be the simple answer would be the same people who load the shelves every time the price is crushed down. We'll be back
well,
with Eric. What?
go ahead. Never mind.
We're, we're going to be back with Eric Lovely in just a minute. Hang tight. All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Eric Lovely, continue. We had to cut you off for the break there, so please continue filling us in on. Well, you had a question that came up out of chat as well, so I'll turn it over to you.
Well, yeah, that's actually the question that I was answering right there in the chat, and I don't know if they were a JTV person who asked that question, or if they were just in the regular chat room. But if you weren't on JTV, according to the numbers, according to the mathematical projections as to the amount of silver used, the amount of silver available, the amount of silver production, the exchange rate or usage rate that like things like the military, how fast they use it, the silver is gone, and you could actually see for a short period of time. I definitely think that you'll see silver and gold change places. Silver will become the dominant metal for wealth, and you'll see them trading at 3 or 4 gold ounces per 1 silver ounce. I mean that's really it's a prediction that most people are really hard to grasp. But if you really look at the fundamentals of silver, it doesn't exist. I mean, that's the big thing. Silver just simply doesn't exist. You see X amount, like I think it's 38% of what comes out of the ground is actually minted into coins, and that's what you're buying every single day. Okay, there's no overhead. It's like if they stopped pulling it out of the ground and you bought all of that up, there's nothing left. Like gold, there's actually mountains of gold you can go and get and mint. Other people have gold. There's a gold above ground that you can reach out and put your hands on. The silver, except for what's held by banks, nation states, the super wealthy, and us, the people, there isn't anymore. Okay, it's all gone. Like I was telling in the break, talking to Charlie, it's in the trash dumps. It's in every green board that's changed every 2 days out of this war machine, out of every single jet fighter that we fly. Okay, they run maintenance on all of this equipment every single day, day in and day out, and all of these circuit boards and everything it's all made out of silver and gold. Okay, look at what the best semiconductors are in the world, and people really need to understand how drastically thin the silver supply really is. And let me tell you this: your entire existence as you know it, what keeps your water pumps in the cities flowing, what keeps all this jazzercise song and dance blah blah crap moving along
Jazzercise.
is technology based on silver and gold. If mostly silver. If the silver stops flowing when the transformer blows up, that's it. Okay? There's no more transformer to replace it. When circuit boards and these things burn out on these, nuclear power plants, well, when the silver's gone, there's no more circuit board. Okay, this is the reality. They're attempting to basically choke the life out of you, rob you of energy, rob you of food, rob you of travel. I mean, you're
Well,
really
you're saying it's
looking.
all you're saying it's all gone. You're alluding to the above ground supply. I mean, there's still,
Correct.
you know,
There's still silver under the ground. We could
right.
actually physically start tomorrow digging silver out and producing silver ourselves if we wanted to. However, it's the above ground silver, what is available on hand. And let me tell you, demand contracts, if you look at the contracts that are held, the person who's going to get shorted when the shortage comes is you, the local buyer, because they have contracts they have to meet with large corporations buying up industrial silver supply. So, I mean, people really need to, if you can get your hands on silver, I would get it. I would be paying attention to the market. I'm also, I mean, my Lord, 63,200 ounces sold the other day. You know, a record day. It's a phenomenal day. And I will say, to end the gold bug conversation, you know, in a nutshell, with that many ounces sold, with all the people in Japan and India waiting 3 and 4 hours in line to buy 1 ounce of precious metal, and to, you know, for these people to do this, it does give me hope, because that means that there is really a lot more people. The number of people paying attention is expanding, not shrinking.
Well, what was it? China and India both telling its population that it should be buying precious metals. That was 2 years ago. I mean, there's I think there's a lot more reality outside of the pop culture of the United States that people are paying attention to. They're not just worried about the NFL draft or if Tebow is going to find a team to land on. You know, they're looking at what's coming. And I think that's why you see this massive demand for physical, it begs the question, what in the hell's going on when you look at days like today, where you have, silver getting smashed down, what was it, at least a point today. I think it was down 37 cents or something along those lines, the paper price of it. But you're right. The reality of grabbing physical, and Gabe said that last time he was on here, is it's harder and harder to get.
You know, everything. If you look at these block orders too. Now, something else everything that is important to you is being made hard to get by contract and by design. If you look at the contracts for the bullets that have been ordered and purchased recently, and you start to understand it a little more, they have a freeze on the market. So anytime that there comes a lull or a dip in price or so forth, that the people want ammunition, or there is a projected think tank opinion that the people will have enough money to buy X amount of ammunition in a quarter, they can lean on this contract and redirect all ammunition being generated at these factories to themselves and away from the market, making artificial, dry spells with ammunition and so forth. So there are a lot of different things, not minute things, but microcosms right now within the market that are being attacked directly, because these are the things they fear the absolute most. The banking organization, what went on in Florida, I mean, I don't know what your comments are, but for the homeowners who got shafted on their falsified mortgages and whatnot, they got a check for $300 from the bank, right? And their lawyers, I think there was like 1,200 of them, got billions. So you got a $300 check. So, I mean, here, how much more of this are we going to take, ladies and gentlemen? These individuals they were bent over and screwed by the bank. And then the lawyers came along and said, well, while you're bent over there, let me help myself too. That's really picture, what took place. Right. It is. I mean, billions. I mean, here you're sitting here with this $300. I mean, $300. What does $300 really buy? And your lawyers are now going to the country club talking about the billions of dollars in fees and benefits they just got.
The only thing that the $300, the cumulative, whatever the billion, a couple billion, whatever the fine ended up being, these sellout attorney generals around the country agreed to. The only thing that has given the banks, and the only thing they gave a crap about, these banks, is the ability to say, we paid our debt, we paid our fair share, we paid the fine, largest in the history of the blah, blah, blah. They can come on and play this game that, they've made penance for their sin. And in reality, you know what? You're right, Eric. $300. what a complete and utter insult. You've been raped, robbed, and you have nothing left. Your house has been stolen from you, and in a lot of cases, as we talked about with Matt Widener last night, you're having corporate thugs come in and kick in the door and going in to inspect while you're still living in the thing. You know, it is beyond disgusting what's happening, and it's beyond belief that that the nation as a whole is just going to lay back and just let it happen.
Well, and I was listening to that show. I listened to the interview, and I listened to what he had said. And so today, I thought I'd take a minute.
Whoa, I think that was guilt. I think that was guilt from cheating on Wide Awake News over the weekend.
Well, I listened to what he had to say. So I thought, well, let me poke around. Let me see if there's anything out there. Let's see what I can really, glean if there was any information. And there was it's really not hard to find, ladies and gentlemen. You really don't need links to this. The Patty lady, she was 78 years old. She was asleep in her bedroom while the guy let himself
in. Wait a minute. Don't give the story up because it's just going to get cut off. I want you to pick up on that when we come back, and we'll find the links during the break. Put them into the chat. We're going to be back with the final segment of this first hour with Gary Hindershot, who's waiting in the wings, being nice and quiet in the background, and of course Eric Lovely. We'll be right back. Hang tight. All right, welcome back to this final segment of hour number 1 of Wide Awake News Radio. Eric Lovely is our guest, and I cut him off he was telling us a story about a lady who got a surprise. Eric, continue.
Well, it's the same story as a lot of them. She's like 78, 80 years old, asleep in her house, sleep like a log, and the individuals let themselves in and were selling her property on the street corner when she awoke and went looking for what the ruckus was, her TVs and whatnot, and they were from the bank. And it's surprising enough that you had him on his show, and that more people aren't talking about this because it didn't take too long to really find. There are YouTube videos. There are individuals who actually have given their accounts on different blogs. There are different lawyers that are involved and things of this nature. And I can't believe, really. I mean, Charlie, what do you think is, I know you guys beat around the question yesterday. But what happens when they show up to somebody's house and somebody just says, what the heck with it, and shoots this guy or these guys and just, cuts him down in their own house? Who's going to go to jail? How is that? How can you give them carte blanche to go into people's homes? Okay, if it really is what they're saying, the legal system and the police have said that the banks have so much power that they can do anything they want, and there's nothing we can do about it. And if you attempt to defend yourself against a bank invasion, what's going to happen to you? I mean, you're going to murder charges. Yeah, they're going to call in the state troopers, and
you're going to get killed.
All these people. Yeah, and you're going
to get killed, and then whatever because of the collaboration now between government and big industry, especially on internet concerns, they will be able to kill you. And then be able to track, every website you ever went to in your whole entire life. And if you ever visited a website like this one or any other anti-corporate America or anti-government website, you'll just be labeled as a lunatic and you'll be dead. And that's exactly does that sound crazy? Even Rand Paul condones killing somebody who robs a liquor store and comes out with $50. Oh yeah, I could see using drones then because it's a crime in progress. This is where we're headed, Eric. I mean, I asked the question last night of Matt and let him answer in the way he felt comfortable in doing so. But he knows the truth. Him and I talked off the air about it. We know the truth of what's coming. The General Accounting Office, the GAO, is investigating right now why the hell the government's buying billions of rounds of ammunition. And you know what? That's a stupid question. We know why they're buying it. We know why they're up-armoring everybody. We know why they're buying off local police force and militarizing them, so they can kill people that decide they want to challenge the banking rule, which is the government of this country. So, yeah, I mean, it's a question that we ask all the time to try to get people to think, but there's your simple answer. Stand up for yourself, and you're going to die, period. That's it.
Well, it isn't going to be an easy choice for a lot of us. And people have really argued this point for a long time.
Sorry, I
And
yelled at you, buddy.
oh no, it's okay. It's really what needs to take place. And people really need to understand that I don't care how much they want to argue with me. It's coming down to the point of that it's all about violence. Okay, if you choose to be separate, if you choose to be an individual, if you choose to cut your own path, it's going to end in violence. Somebody is going to attempt to make you stop. Every little, even the illusion of freedom is all but gone. Which is it's really sad that we let it get this far, and it really is. It's in our
This
court.
far.
It's in our hands. It's our fault, and it's sad that it's gotten this far. I continue to ask the question, well, what is it going to take? You got banks literally robbing people's homes. You have police officers, and well, I call them local military. I don't really know. I can't call them police anymore. You got an 80-year-old guy or 70-year-old guy trying to defend his wife, and in a mistaken break-in in a town of 20,000 people that's got a 12-man SWAT team that shot him, repeatedly. I mean, really, 20,000 people. They need a 12-man SWAT team and an armored vehicle. How can we really call these guys police? I mean, to me, more and more,
No,
they look like brown shirts.
12 men with armored vehicles and fully automatic weapon and bullet and ballistic protection armor that they wear. That's not a police force. That's a combat infantry. At the very least, it's not a whole platoon, but it's at least a combat infantry squad. That's what that is. That's what that is. In a town of 20,000, it is there to do what? They're not at war with 20,000 people, or are they? They look. The militarization of our police force is very well documented. Even the ACLU is suing to try to find out what is with the federal government militarizing the police force across this country. It's a very simple, straightforward process that we face. This is what's coming. It started with A. It's going to end at Z. I don't know where we're at in the lineup of the alphabet, but it is eventually going to end in a scenario where these militarized police forces, these infantry squads that are inserted into towns of 20,000 people, and they're going to be used. That's it. That's what they're there for. They're there to protect the status quo. They're there to protect the government at every level. And the government at every level is dominated by the banking cabal at every level. This is what their job is going to be. Not working for you, not working for the people. They're not there to protect your freedom and to give you rights. They're do the exact opposite. As you roll down the street tonight, as you're rolling through whatever town you're living in, and you're looking at these cops rolling around and these cameras on every other corner, they consider you a source of income. This is the vast majority of their job. Writing tickets, issuing fines, getting money, drawing it out of the public so they can keep financing their existence right up until the time they need these military forces to clamp down on a populace that has had it and they've had enough and they've lost everything. And as Gerald Celente says, they've lost everything and they're going to lose it. And this is the Z point. This is the point we're heading towards.
And here's the interesting thing. Is a lot of people are debating this, and they're debating how everything is going to unfold, and they're trying to extrapolate data in so many different directions. The simplest, easiest question is why would an organization or a government build a giant blunt weapon like a private military force that used to be known as the police if they don't intend to beat someone's head with it? It's the reality. You wouldn't create these combat units if you were not expecting a combat situation.
Is there a weapon in the history of humanity, any weapon in the history of humanity, that was built and never used? Ever? The simple answer to that question is no. Every weapon that has ever been built has been used. So why would this be any different? Why would they build this weapon? Why would they build this army and not use it? Or not intend to use it.
Yeah, so it's the reality. I really, I think that it was a good time for Chris to be on, and hopefully you get him back on to talk about seeds, because we move into the planting season. I know some people are already planting because of your weather or where your location is, and others are not.
I'm just mad. I'm going to be mad for the next hour.
Hey man, that's what I do. Either I get cranked up or you get cranked up. I was cranked up all day. It really, I had to really stop looking at it and really stop thinking about it because, man, the amount of people being plundered and pillaged by the banks, by local governments, by police forces, by the federal government. I mean, the number, just the massive fleecing and just complete debaucherous situation that the American and everybody in the world finds themselves in. I mean, why are we taking this? I mean, seriously, why are we putting up with this? Why have we not, drug these people out of their offices, put them on freaking trial, and be done with this situation? And if found guilty, it's treason. We know what to do. We hang them. Trust me, the next people in the next country over will see what we're doing, and they'll say, "Oh, so that's how it's taken care of." Well, let's us get on that. Okay, this is the reality. This is the reason why America was targeted for overthrow in the early 1800s because we started to change the mental conversation around the world. They didn't want kings anymore, but that's another show for another day. So I mean, this is the reality. We're definitely coming to a head. We're definitely coming to a bubble. I hope people are getting out there and starting their gardens and get your canning materials, okay? A lot of canning materials, a lot of byproducts come from copper, okay? A lot of different metals or alloys and different things come from copper production. So things like the like lids and different things, depending on what manufacturer you use for your canning supplies, could become more expensive. So stock up on that stuff. And also remember, this is another thing. I just want to throw this in here. This is my farmer's message of the day. If you can't get lids for your jars, okay, if you can't get lids that you can actually seal, let's say you want to reuse, then you should have large supply or the ability to create wax. If you fill the top of your jar with wax, okay, it will work in the same function. Look up how to do that, research, and find out how to substitute wax for the actual lid seal. It's not quite as good, but my grandmother did it for decades and decades and decades, wax sealing all of her jellies, potatoes, green beans, all of her vegetables. So, take a look at that and, give it a try.
It's great advice, Eric Lovely. You
Well,
really took it from one place to another there.
I got to spread it around. I got to give something constructive at the end, at least, that will benefit people. And
Yeah,
wax is really, really cheap. And, there's all different kinds you can make. If you have bees, if you're a beekeeper, and see, that's another thing. People talk about this new economy that's going to be created. Well, right there is the whole thing. You can learn how to be a beekeeper. You can be a beekeeper. You can make honey out of it. You can use the paraffin pieces and whatnot to create wax, okay, so that people can store and cure their foods. See, so there are many different small, tangible talents you can learn that will impact and create a local market and also allow you to bring something to the table that will put food in your belly and things of that nature. So, just ideas, thoughts.
well, you've given me some thoughts, and you reminded me of the program last night in the conversation that Matt Weiner and I had, and afterward, and now it's got it all fired back up, and leading into the second hour with Doug Owen, a blacklisted news. He's coming on here. I want to talk about the internet tax. I want to talk about Obamacare. This is a law now, and the so-called non-tax neocons are pushing now for sales tax via the internet. So I'm just going to keep rolling with this and put out maybe a couple videos tonight after the program. Full of passion. Eric Lovely, thank you very much. We'll talk to you again Thursday. Guys, we'll try to get Chris from Seeds Now on to join Eric and I on Thursday, hour number 1. Please hang tight. We'll be back with Doug Owen of Blacklisted News in just a few minutes. Hang tight.